We're so lucky when it comes to coffee because we're spoiled, really. I mean, there's so many choices. I mean, you could drink poor coffee if you'd like, but there are so many great choices in coffee, right?
It's come a long way.
Yeah, and hey, and it's just like music. There's so many music and musicians out there. There's lots of choices. Let's get right into things, Dave.
Sure.
So I'm talking with Dave Cliff this morning here from the Retro Kings, a folk band that came together in the fall of 2021, doing originals and doing some classics. So, Dave, tell me what you're up to these days.
Well, John, we are working on an album, Retro King. As you know, Retro King is a folk rock band, and many of us write our own music. And we're working on an album that's coming out of all originals. And we've actually changed the name a little bit for this album because we want to distinguish it between our regular monthly, weekly gigs at shows. So I can get into the shows a little later that are coming up. But we've through a friend of mine, and I don't know if any people know a place in Kingston. It's called Musiki, and it's a fun cafe whiskey bar. Lovely coffee there too, and they have live music pretty much every night. Anyways, we're going to do a release there, and the band will be called RKO, meaning Retro Kings Original. So we thought we'd distinguish sort of the original music that we're writing in releasing albums through RKO, and we keep our name within that image, so to speak. So that's will be coming out probably in the summer. As you may know, I have a place up near Westport, Ontario, where you're located. We have cut some videos and so on, and people can go to our site at retrokings.com. I can send that off to you. And I also have davidcliffmusic.com where they can listen to some of this music that's going through. As in sense of gigs coming up, we have several in Kingston coming up. March 18th and April 8th, we're at Tie It On Creativity Bar,
Okay.
which is a place out near 401 and Gardner's Road. It's a bar, a really nice bar, and has local craft beer. There's crafting there, apparently, in meaning of, hobbyists who want to craft there. They do kids events and so on. And so if any inspiring artists out there or parents that are looking for a birthday activity, Tied On Creativity Bar. So the kids can go upstairs and do their craft and so on, and the parents can sit downstairs and listen to us play music and drink craft beer and such. So it's a pretty neat place.
Oh, sounds like a great time. You should be a promoter for these guys. I mean, you're doing a great job promoting all these different venues, and that is fantastic because just like musicians need to be promoted, you need to promote the places that are supporting you guys as artists. Dave, tell me a bit about COVID and how it kind of affected you as a musician and your band, because I know you guys came together right in that time slot. So now bars are not having bands play. You're kind of figuring things out, and it changed the music scene and it changed the small venue live scene. What are your thoughts on that? How did that affect you?
Well, we started, as you said, just prior to the pandemic, and we started off wanting to learn a bunch of songs so we can do sets at shows. We got together with just the three of us at one point, and we brought on a drummer shortly thereafter. But it was kind of an on and off sort of practicing process each week with the band. And then suddenly, remember around Christmas, they shut us down because they didn't want everybody together and so on. So we stopped for a few months, was beyond for a few months. Eventually we came out of it, and everyone seemed to get their shots, and it seemed to go to plan from what the health unit was telling us to do. So it took longer for us to probably get our act together, so to speak.
Right.
But these days individually, you can kind of practice and do things over the internet. We were all sort of like-minded folks too, so we could practice our parts individually and so on. It was kind of sad to see the venues were hurt quite a bit during that time, and they were a little more picky when they're sort of opening up because they need to create revenue and so on. So they want the best players there. Like, for instance, we're playing up the Cove, I think it's August 22nd in the afternoon on the patio and so on. So we started moving to outdoor sort of venues up, and we were up in Verona, one of our first shows in, I think it was the spring after pandemic sort of came through. And so there's a lot more outdoor sort of shows for us to do. And, people are, doing their 2 meter distancing and all that kind of stuff, and people felt a lot safer. And people really, I found, really hungry for music, live
That's
music.
what I was going to ask you. There seems to be a real appetite for the smaller venue stuff now than prior to the pandemic, because it was tough for musicians to get gigs, and it was tough for small venues to pay for music. But there seems to be more of an appetite today than there was pre-pandemic, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it also inspired us because we do a lot of video work ourselves. We do most of our recording ourselves. We have what we call the music shed, and we go in there, and we did a lot of videos out by my property in Westport. And so we spent a lot of time sort of on our own as our little cluster doing videos and music on our own, which inspired us too. Some of us weren't really used to doing videos, so to speak, and we would do videos of all the songs, and we'll be doing the same for our originals. And it was a good learning experience. So it kind of drove us in different directions, forced us in different directions fairly quickly. Tell
me, Dave, who's in the band?
Obviously, we have myself, and I do guitar, harmonica, and vocals, and some lead. John Stenhagen is our brilliant drummer, percussionist, and vocalist. Kenton Terrell is the bass and vocalist, and probably one of the lead vocalists, I would say. He's very dynamic. And Graham Topp, he's lead guitarist, guitar, and vocals. And we're all about the same age, and just around 60. We're all a bunch of older guys that have had some experience and so on. Yeah, we're a pretty steady band. We're quite good. We want to go into more of the soft rock sort of thing, but we wanted 4 voices. We love doing harmonies, so Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, a variety of our own stuff is all based on harmonies. And we kind of try songs and kick them out if the vocals really are too... Oh, there's some that will be done by one or two of us if we're... framed to do that, but we tried to really push for the harmonies, and that's why we've really enjoyed all of us being able to sing.
Yeah, I happened to walk in on the tail end of one of your shows around December, and I noticed the 3-part harmony stuff. I think I caught 3 or 4 songs before the set ended or the show ended, and I was really digging it. I really liked it, Dave.
Yes, thank you. It's very. I find it a little more unique and so on. We want to not be a classic rock band per se and have the one person who's got an amazing voice, which is all great to do that. But we wanted to make, if we all can sing and we all know how to do our harmonies and we're all, somewhat seasoned in the sense that we've had some experience being in bands and so on, it seemed like it was a good fit for everybody. And I find that everyone's really enjoying it because everybody, when you do harmonies and you hear the sound wall, when we were at Musiki and we were at Spearhead Brewery that's coming up. We were at Daft downtown Kingston, and we got some gigs in Carlton Place. When we get to songs, like Cinnamon Girl, or I do Handyman by James Taylor, and there's some beautiful vocal, as you know, James Taylor and those kind of artists are incredible vocalists, and we try to not just emulate them, we try to, make a sound that is quite sweet, and so we don't want to be overpowering or loud in bands. We're adults too. We experience, being in venues and so on, which tend to be fairly small, and we don't want to overpower the people who are there, with their families and having a chat and so on. So we try to be on the soft side, but we want our harmonies as good as possible, really.
Yeah, that's important because you want to create an atmosphere. When you go to a concert, it's a different environment where it's loud, you're focused on the band. But when you're playing in these smaller venues, you're creating that atmosphere and becoming part of the scene. And it's pretty smart that you recognize that, Dave. And I think that will probably help you guys. And probably does help you guys already. Let me ask you another question. You're a busy guy. Where do you find time to write songs? And you do some original stuff. One of them we're going to talk about called Head in the Clouds. Can you tell me about the writing process and the producing process?
Sure. Well, we all have different methods, but I find I write better, meaning my mind is open more in the morning when I don't have the day of, responsibilities, appointments, activities, things that come up. So I tend to write in the morning, and when my head's the clearest. And I typically start with a little melody if I have some kind of melody in my mind. And then it's important with songwriting, I think, to match the words with the melody, meaning like it fits like a glove. It's really important that words I really appreciate poetry, and it's sometimes I take a poem and I try to think about that poem and see what the meaning behind it is, and try to put start with a genre, an idea that will match the mood of that particular poem, or the opposite way when I do melodies. I try to match the melody of what the tone is, or the vibe of it is. But it takes a lot of work. You'd be surprised. Sometimes I could write 2 or 3 in a fairly short period of time. Other times I'm dry for a long time. And Graham done 4 albums. He's more prolific in the sense of volume, I would say. I'm a bit slower. I'm slower than that, definitely. If I put an album worth of stuff, it takes me some time. But I kind of take. I look on. Not that Graham's has not great songs. I just like to take my time on. Yeah.
You find other musicians or other influences get trapped in your songs. I was listening to a few that you sent me, Dave, and I felt kind of a tragically hip kind of vibe in one of them. I can't recall which song it was, but do you find that kind of stuff kind of plays into your writing and when you talk about melodies coming up with these songs? Does that come into play?
Yeah, in a sense, there's influence. As I said, we're a folk rock band, so that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young thing is going on. I like to rock it out too, so you're bound to find some chords and things that are going to sound like a lot of rock. So you've heard the joke, right? What's the difference between a rock guitarist and a jazz guitarist, right?
No, what?
A rock guitarist plays 3 chords in front of thousands of people, and a jazz guitarist plays thousands of chords in front of 3 people.
That is true.
And we need a little drum roll behind it. For instance, Head in the Clouds, if you're going to cue that up soon, I was just renovating this house in Kingston, covered with dust, and I needed a break, and I was upstairs, and I was looking out the window, thinking one day I'm going to be able to go into that park, which is across the street from where I live, and I'm going to be able to relax. I've been working on this house for 3.5 weeks, and there's no end. And I saw some kids in those, on swing, and I saw them going back and forth as you did with a kid, and you know how you're kicking up as high as you can, putting your head in the clouds. So it was like a metronome, and I kind of speak to it in Head in the Clouds, that feeling of being free of burden and so on, and that swing and that metronome gave me some sort of start to how the song originated, of the idea. And also the beat of the song as I see them swing, because you can keep it in your head, those kind of visual things. So it's interesting where songs come from.
Right.
And, yeah. So you're listening to Shed with John and David Cliff, davidcliffmusic.com, and he's been interviewing me regarding the Retro Kings and also our original tunes that are coming out at RKO. And we really appreciate John's radio station, and we wish him the best of luck to all the musicians that he does the interviews for.
Yeah, no, it's and I love this part of the show. It's just the Shed Show is relatively new within the last few weeks, and my plan for the show is to bring in more artists, have more conversations along with the music, because I think supporting local artists is what a local radio station should be doing. Although we have to play classic music. The audience wants a certain kind of music, but there is always room for local musicians on this show, and I believe there should be room for local musicians in many of the radio shows that are out there today. And that's the nice thing about the internet. We're able to do these things now. Hey, let's cue up this song, Head in the Clouds. And before you do that, Dave, just shout out one more time how to get a hold of you guys, where to find your music online, all that stuff again, and lead me into this song, Head in the Clouds.
Sure thing. So people can reach reach us at, it's called Graham Top, GrahamTopp, and he's got a wixsite.com. It's grahamtop.wixsite.com, and it's Retro King /Retro King. Or you can find us on Facebook, The Retro King. They can reach me through davidcliffmusic.com. Yeah, that's the main thing. Or see us around town, and we do private and public events. We're very good, very responsible, and of good value. So Head in the Clouds, as I was speaking to, came to me from looking into my park after a long day at work. And it's a song, I think you have the live version.
I do, yep.
Yeah, we're going to record that on RKO's original album that's coming up. And it's really about, getting away from your responsibilities a little bit and, as the words say, going downtown, taking some time off, going to the south, just taking a break from your daily grind, I'll put it that way. But it's a fun song, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, this is Dave Cliff and the Retro Kings with Head in the Clouds.
We've got another original song here, written again by David. This is our most recent one. If he wants, I'll let him say more about it. I didn't write it.
Carry on. You're doing well, so good so far. So I live down in Kingston at McBurney Park, and they've changed all the, because of health and safety probably, all the swings. There used to be these really big swings, and when I first moved to Kingston in '98, I would look out after I'm, covered in dust from renovating a house, and then look out and have a little break. And I look out the windows at the top and thought, well, okay, I landed in Kingston, and I saw these kids on swings. Remember being on the swings and you try to kick as high as you can, and you put your head up in the clouds almost, and it was like a metronome. So musically, to me, it kind of fit somehow. But anyways, I wrote a song a little bit about that. It's called Head in the Clouds.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Everybody's looking towards the sun. I know it sounds kind of selfish, looking out for number one. Let's go downtown and just hang around. Kick up our two blues and put our head in the clouds. I got my feet on the ground. I got my head in the clouds. Everybody's working on the weekend. Everybody's looking towards the sun. I know I sound kind of crazy, but if you want to have some fun, let's go downtown and just hang around. Kick up our shoes, put our head in the clouds. I got my feet on the ground. I got my head in the clouds. Let's go downtown and just hang around. Kick up our blues, put our head in the clouds. I got my feet on the ground. I got my head in the clouds. I got my feet on the ground. I got my head in the clouds. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe.